Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs, and the room is stutters. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape for every one of us. I was kinda late, I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus on what's great. Ladies and gentlemen, Steph Hardy is on the air. Had to drop a couple bars just to make you all aware. So, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. You know I go by Joe or the rest of the flow, yeah.
Hey y'all, welcome to a brand new episode of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast with your girl Stephanie Hardy and of course your new girl Bianca Addison, co-host and host of this fabulous platform. We are so happy to be before you on this Friday night, which is of course the eve of John Cena's final match. We were supposed to come at you tomorrow, but yesterday there was a lot of stuff going on with your girl in terms of work and I just needed to get my mind right, get my mind situated and clear. But all is well right now. Bianca, how are you?
I'm well. I finished school today. I'm happy. Thank you. Thank you. My last thank you. My final. I finished my final. Um, it was a productive week. I watched Wicked for good on Thursday. I needed that self-care day. I need to decompress. I've been crying all week. Girl.
Why? Why have you been crying?
Well, for one, John Cena's leaving, and
Yeah.
all the stresses and the anxieties of the world, adulting. But everything is good. But shout out to you, hey,
Yeah, Rakarsha, friend of the pod, big fan. Thank you so much for watching us tonight. And we do know that SmackDown is coming on a little bit later, but I still wanted to
it is.
come on here. Yes, because it's Friday. It's later for us anyway, because in Alabama it comes on at 7. It's 6 o'clock for us.
Oh,
So yeah, so SmackDown is still very much coming on, but we did still I felt like as a huge wrestling fan, it made no sense for me to be who I am and not have an episode where we're paying tribute to the Never Seen 17. This has just been an emotional journey from the beginning to the announcement of his retirement, which I will get to later, and all the way up until now. And through it all, through the ups and downs, whether you felt like he should have turned heel or not turned heel, or whether you feel like, there could have been more on his tour or could not have been more on his tour because of everything he said in his interviews that he had with Tom Rinaldi and Chris Van Vliet. The, oh my God, the general consensus is that we are all going to miss this man in the ring. We just are. And that's just the truth of the matter. We just are. He's been a consistent presence for us since 2002. And when I was thinking about it while watching Brian H. Waters and his show, The Wrestling Realm, shout out to those are my brothers. I literally messaged them and told them, look, in their comments, I told them when John Cena started wrestling, I was 8 years old, and my sister was just a baby. That's how long we've been in this thing with John Cena. Now my sister's 24 and I'm
what
32,
what year did
and
he
it's
start?
she was born in 2001
2001.
and John Cena started his WWE career in 2002.
I was 6.
Wow. So yes, we were very young and now look at us. We're grown adults and now he's getting ready to wrap it up. Bianca, how are you feeling knowing that the final match is literally tomorrow?
It was. Oh, forgive me, everyone, if I start crying because this will be a very emotional episode for the both
Hmm.
and all the John Cena fans out there. I haven't been okay since his announcement. He's one of
Hmm.
my heroes. I hold him to high regard. He has a special place in my heart. Um, I haven't been okay. There will never be some. I will not. I will miss. There will. Well, besides CM Punk, there's not anyone who has who can who has very great mic work. He can cut a promo down. I remember this promo where he can like annihilate you like nothing. I remember his promo with Roman Reigns. Like I don't know, like I forgot what he said, but like it was like that was a promo where Roman Reigns said like I think along the lines of I you just want to be me or something. You just want to be or something like along those lines. I forgot what he said, but like
Yeah.
what and then like what has colorful language. Like he said, John Cena said, "I will chop your ass." I was like, ah, like come on, bro, like what? Like there's not, there will never be another John Cena ever, and I'll miss his. I'll his. He carries himself with grace. He carries himself with class, and yeah, his name is John C. I'm honestly glad he. Wow. Anyway, shout out to
It's
you.
okay. It's okay, Mike. Thank you for watching, by the way, on YouTube. And thank everyone for watching live if you're doing that right now. Rikarsha also said she was a baby as well when John Cena debuted, and I was born in 2001, like my sister. So that's cool. So yeah, not to cut you off, I just wanted to give the comments some love as they come in. And of course, while you're watching, if something resonates with you, feel free to chime in on the comments, and talk. And I know one thing. The first time I saw John Cena, I was of course watching wrestle with my dad, and I think my dad just saw him as just another buff white boy, and he was just like, okay, who is he supposed to be? Like, like he's not gonna last, and all this other stuff. And I'm a kid, so I'm just looking at this dude like, okay, hi, this is you. But then as it turns out, he wound up becoming more than we ever imagined him to be. But before, of course, we get more into that, I want you, Bianca, to talk about what happened when you actually had the chance to meet him. I was so happy when you sent me this picture of you and him. And I was just like, oh my God, so you actually met him. So I have not had the pleasure of meeting him, but I have had the pleasure of being in the same room as him um, a couple of times at live events and also at that Money in the Bank where he announced his retirement. So, Bianca, talk about what was happening here and what brought you and him together.
So this was this happened 18, 19, 20, 2, 3, 4, 5. This happened 7, 8 years ago. December, the two, the anniversary. I realized the anniversary passed when I checked my notes. This happened December 10th, 2018. This was at Barnes and Noble at the Grove in Los Angeles, where I'm from. Hence the time zones. So where did I find this? I remember it was either on Twitter or Instagram. I was still in school, and when I saw this, I knew I had to go. And this this was this was the same year I met Kobe Bryant. So I'm a very blessed woman.
Yes, you are.
um, so I there were this was this was in the before times where we can all camp out. And yeah, I snuck out of my house to camp out because they were giving out the tickets in the morning. So if I were to go in the morning, there would already be a line, and I would have been screwed. I would have missed my chance. So I camped out. I got there. I got in line at around like I don't know 8 or 10 p.m. and it was absolutely worth it. I met people. I wasn't alone. It was nice. Um, I skipped school. It was absolutely worth it. And then the the I was very close to the line. I was like one of the first. Well, actually, I was one of the first few in line. And when we were waiting, like behind that green um, backdrop,
Mhm.
um, he we were all waiting, and all of a sudden, there he was. His head popped out, checking the line, the crowd, and we all cheered, we all screamed. It was wow, like oh my god, someone who has influenced me, inspired me so much, like is right there, and I'm about to meet one of my heroes. So long, it was my now was my turn, and I cried.
Mhm.
I said, "You inspire me." I told him that I have his Instagram, his um his Twitter notifications on because his tweets really inspire me. His tweets are so. If you pay attention to his tweets, you will realize that he is very smart. He's very deep. He's very inspirational. The
Right.
tweets he posts, like I take some of those tweets with me for life, and I like there's a few. My goodness, but like he's very deep and he's very smart, and the person you see on on the internet and on WWE is the person is who he is, and I'm very happy that I am a fan of someone who is not fake, who loves his fans equally, and he took his time. I remember I rushed. I um I it, it was I had some time with him. I asked him for a few hugs. His hugs were so soft and warm. Oh my gosh,
Oh
Chase,
wow.
you. Shout out to you. Bless you. Congratulations to you. Uh, um, and then like after I remember telling him, "Oh, I haven't been to a WWE event yet." And then since then, I have been. I finally went to my first Raw, which was the Netflix premiere, and probably the only time I saw him in a WWE ring. He didn't wrestle. He said he was like that was where he cut the promo. He said, "I'm not just gonna go to Royal Rumble. I'm gonna win Royal Rumble." I remember saying,
I can't believe that was your very first Raw. That's a heck of a Raw to start with. Like so many people, start, with their first live events being, certain pay-per-views, certain SmackDowns or Raws, but yours was like ushering in a new era of Raw, and that's pretty amazing. And then in a new arena too, because I remember when they were building the Intuit Dome. When I went to WrestleMania in LA, and I was just like, so they're gonna build something else here? Are they crazy? But that's LA. And so to see the finished product of how it looked just on TV, it was just really beautiful. So the fact that that's your first Raw is just impressive. I love that for you.
"Oh my gosh!" And then seeing CM Punk wrestle for the first time and he won, was amazing. But we'll get to all of that. This is about John Cena, one of my other hero. But back to this.
Yeah.
I'm just very honored and grateful that I even have this. And I was 23 in this photo, so
Mhm.
a lot of time has passed. And I can't wait. I am manifesting that we meet again, and that I get to tell him thank you and get an updated photo because I look good now. So
Oh, you looked good then too. Let's not play. Let's
that was
not play. Okay.
that was, that was stress, depression, anxiety, all. Oh God, she was
But
going through it.
but here's the thing though. Even though you were saying you were going through those things, you really don't look like it.
Oh,
And that's yeah, and that's the thing. Like it didn't break you, and that's the most important part. It didn't break you, and you found your pockets of happiness, and it's abundantly clear that this was a pocket of happiness right here, you and John. So I'm so happy that you guys met each other, and and there have been numerous stories just like yours going on all week about how people talk about how they met John Cena, or how much he inspires them in their day-to-day life and all of the above. He actually, I remember the first time I saw he followed me on Twitter, I almost died. I was just like, "Excuse me?
oh, you
You
too?
what?"
Oh,
Yeah, he followed me on Twitter. I found out about it like early in the morning. I was getting ready for work one day and I woke up and I looked at my phone and I looked at my socials and I saw the blue check by his name and I was like, am I dreaming? Is this real? And I basically celebrated for like half the day, and I was just like, "Bro, John Cena follows me on Twitter. What? Does he knows who I am?" Like it was nuts. It was just a really nuts experience. But I'm so happy, that he does that and he follows people so he can actually see, all of what people are thinking about different things because that's what he did say in one interview, and I appreciate that. So hopefully, he's liked some of the stuff I've had to say. Um, about him, whether it be good or passionate or whatever. But John is a special, special soul. And we're definitely going to get more into that right now. But I just love your story of meeting him. I'm so happy you had that moment.
thank you, Cena, for being so sweet and kind to me that day. I will never forget. It was a great day. Uh,
Yes. Yes. Bless you.
yeah.
So now we got to talk about, of course, the beginning of things. And of course, John Cena famously had his WWE debut on SmackDown, which for a while you could argue really was his stomping grounds. That was his show. Um, in the 2000, like in 2002 when he made his debut. Of course, he had wrestled in OVW and came up with a stellar class that included Randy Orton, Batista, and I also believe Shelton Benjamin, if I'm not mistaken, and of course, we don't talk about Bruno.
Mhm.
Um, they all came up and trained right there together in Ohio Valley Wrestling. And it's just really insane when you see him get in the face of Kurt Angle, and he was just like, Kurt Angle, okay, what? And Kurt Angle asked him, like, what quality do you possess? And he said, ruthless aggression. And he slapped him in the face. And it was just so funny to see him, sort of not as swole as he got later on. And just wearing these shorts and just being virtually an unknown, just trying to make his mark in the wrestling industry. And, this wound up being replayed so many times over the course of his career when people think about how he got started. But the craziest part is that he really didn't have a thing that just made him stick out at first. He was just wrestling and having good matches, but he wasn't resonating on television at that point. So that he was in danger of being fired even after he shook hands with Biker Taker. That's what I call him. Undertaker is the biker. He really wasn't sure until, of course, there was that chance bus ride he had where he was freestyle rapping and Stephanie McMahon overheard, and she was working on the writing team and actually told him to do it. And this is how we got this beautiful of John Cena, the doctor of thugonomics, from West Newbury, Massachusetts. And he was a rapper. So for me, I guess really where this starts is Bianca, did you see John Cena, as a rapper, and how did you feel about him, during this era of time?
I actually didn't start watching WWE until like late 2010 or 2011, but I
Oh,
did
okay.
but I did hear the name John Cena in elementary school, I hear everyone, my classmates would say like, "You can't see me." So that was like my introduction to John Cena. So, and then like drawing books, but later on in life, as I got to know who he is, from videos and everything, I saw this character and listened to his album in high school, and it changed my life. So, so yeah,
Yes.
he 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 spits bars like men is due. Like, oh my god! In case you forgot, I fell off. I'm still hot. Knock yourself off. What? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like straight bars. And let me just say, like, this was during a phase of my childhood where I was still trying to figure out what rap meant for me. Because to paint the picture, I've told this story before, but it's just like growing up, I started listening to gospel music first because my mom and my grandmothers, God rest them, wanted me to listen to music that was appropriate, for me. And it just turned out that it was always gospel at one point. And then it was Disney movies. And then it was pop. And then rap was kind of introduced to me sort of by force to a degree because sometimes I would ride in the car with my cousins and they would be blaring the rap station and I felt like it was bad low key because my grandparents thought it was bad and it was just kind of like, well, what am I going to do? So the older I got, it was just sort of like, okay, well, maybe me and rap can have a bit of a relationship when it started to trickle into the cartoons that I would watch. And then when it started trickling into wrestling too, I was just like, okay, well, maybe there's something I can do with it. And so me and rap and hip hop have an interesting relationship for sure, but I do still love it because of course it's a black art form. It's ours. But seeing John Cena do it, I thought it was the coolest thing I had ever seen because he started looking like a lot of the people that I started being exposed to on BET and such. And I was just like, okay, so he's a rapper. He's wearing all these cool jerseys. So apparently he likes sports. And, he's rapping and this is amazing. And a lot of people around me, a lot of the adults around me thought he was just trying to be a black man because there have been, of course, white rappers before, that certain people either did or did not take seriously. But of course, as it turns out, he took rap a lot more seriously than people initially gave him credit for. And that's something that I do appreciate about him, that he respects rap so much so to the point to where he was actually, touching elbows with well, I don't want to say lesser known, but just rappers that weren't in the mainstream, but then they're still like famous MCs like Bumpy Knuckles, who was on his album and such, and then his cousin Trademark. Like he really does like the rap stuff, like the real like the hardcore like gritty stuff. And I'm just like, okay, he's rapping and this is just the cool thing for me. So, yeah. And then of course all the boys at school, loved him and everything because they felt like, there was a level of exposure and seenness that they felt by him. So it was really amazing for me to witness this for sure. Um, and then of course, as you get older, you get the more discussions that people have about cultural appropriation. But it felt like most of the time he was just trying to appreciate the culture more than anything else. It didn't feel like he was just trying to take from it in my eyes. And so yeah, um, Rakarsha in the comments is saying WWE just uploaded a video of John Cena wearing all of his jerseys, and the first jersey they showed was Alabama Crimson Tide. Yeah, I did see that, Rakarsha, and that did make me happy. A part of me was low key felt away because he didn't have on Auburn University, but it's okay, it's all right. Um, but
that's
yeah,
all. Roll Tide.
yeah, Roll Tide. That's our main personality, for better or for worse.
I'm
But
a
yeah, how Bianca? What'd you say?
I'm a USC girl. That's in California.
Yeah, I've seen that campus. It's really nice. I know that's where Kobe Bryant's daughter graduated from. It
Yes.
seems like a pretty excellent school. Yeah. So, and just seeing him, do the life stuff, like I just thought that was just everything.
That. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, no, like it's literally like you put your knuckles together and you stink your pinkies out, and your
ah,
thumbs are right here.
Tina, you're so smart.
We're having a word life tutorial on the Hardy Wrestling Podcast.
Oh,
Oh man,
that should be the logo. Trademark it.
a word life tutorial. Oh
What?
man, that's funny.
What? John
That
Cena.
is really funny. But yeah, for those who don't know, this is the word life symbol that John Cena used to do. And then it got so popular, he actually had like brass knucks that had word life on them, and then he would actually use them in the ring to cheat as a bad guy. If you can believe that, John Cena was a bad guy back in the day, and of course we saw a little bit of that now, but still, he would use those brass knucks to win his matches, and but it was just so cool looking that you wanted to be a part of the thing, and anything he wore. Even if it was camouflage or something like that, you wanted to wear it. Me and my dad got to fighting over his chain gang soldier shirt, because dad was just like, it means something else, but I didn't care because John Cena wore it and I wanted to wear it. And what happened? Dad bought it for me anyway. You
Yeah.
know, that's just, how life was back in the day. Like in the 2000s, it was a lit time. To be a wrestling fan for sure as a kid. Like to come of age during that time, I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world because it was just fun. And then of course around this time, as he's rapping and he rapped his own theme song, WWE and their music division released an album called WWE Originals where a lot of superstars actually recorded their own songs. And he recorded, the basic Thugonomics theme song, and that was featured on that album. So yeah, that was his song, and then he would say, "Yo, yo, yo, cut the beat," and then he would do a diss track on everybody.
You
Like
know,
and they would be so nasty. Like
you know what I
and
love about those?
what?
I love the camera angles. I love how the camera moves when Cena raps. It's all like sideways. And
Mhm.
I love how old school that feels, and just how
Mhm.
what a time that was.
Right. It was a great time. It really was. It was very, hip and trendy. And then the funniest part about all of this is it's just it felt really authentic to who he was. He said he really did dress like that in his, at his school and around the kids in his neighborhood. And I just, and that's what really kind of, warms my heart the most about it. It's just like he wanted to be, not necessarily be of black culture, but at the same time he felt like a misfit and he directly related more towards the hip hop generation, and he dressed like that. So it's not like he was out here just trying to be something that he wasn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate that and I love him for that so much. And it was just so fun. So, of course, as he's moving on in his career, he beefs with a lot of people. He beefed with Kurt Angle. He beefed with, Eddie Guerrero at one point and stuff. But him and the Big Show had a good little thing going on. And this is really where his career started to go really like upward because him and the Big Show was beefing to the point that they actually made it all the way to WrestleMania 20 in New York, where he would win his first singles title. He became the United States champion. Now, I didn't watch this live because, of course, this was a pay-per-view. And pay-per-views were expensive back then, and so Daddy would buy the DVDs afterward. So I would see the results on the Raw or whatever, but then once we would buy the DVD, we would piece everything together to make it all make sense.
Yeah.
So, I saw the DVD. It was like a who's who on that WrestleMania 20 card because it was the 20th anniversary. They went back to Madison Square Garden where it all started. It was just a huge deal. And so seeing this man, take his character the way he did, diss, the Big Show. The Big Show also dissed him by wearing a jersey and rapping poorly. Um, this is where the feud kind of, met its really great conclusion, and John Cena won the United States Championship, and the whole crowd of New York loved him, which was so crazy because here again, this is a Boston man, and this is New York, but they loved him and embraced him back then.
I was thinking about what CM Punk told him. You are becoming what you hate. You are the New York.
And then he
You
punched
have
the crap
become
out of
the New
him.
York Yankees.
Yeah, he said you've become a dynasty. You know, he was like, you are no longer the underdog. You are
Yeah.
the New York Yankees. Oh my God, that feud was nuts. But and we'll get to that. But yeah, John was on his upward trajectory here when he won this title. So in the midst of all of this, in the earliest part of his career, I guess thought that he was charismatic enough to where they felt like he could be a movie star. And so he starred in his first feature film, The Marine. And I remember this was a huge event in my house because I begged my dad to take me to see it. My dad didn't want to see it, but I was just like, Dad, we got to go see this movie. We got to go see this movie. And and I had loved John Cena as a wrestler, but this was where I finally realized that me as a woman was starting to develop because I saw him with his shirt off in that one scene with his wife, and he was in that dim light that's kind of like in the shade of my ring light right now, and I wish I could have found a picture of it, but he was the way he was looking in that light. I was like, why can't he marry me? He was so fine. I didn't realize really how fine he was until I saw him in the Marine, and then he threw that man through that glass because he was being a butthole, and he didn't know how to acclimate to real life with that job. And then he came home, and then after he came home from active duty, he took off his shirt, and him and his wife were just connecting, and he had his shirt. I was just like, wait, John, wait, stop all these feelings.
so, so he taught you how to be a woman. Is
Well,
that safe?
well, that day he did, cause to that point, the only wrestler I think I had a crush on was Edge, and that was because Adam Copeland, and that was because he had long blonde hair, and
Mm.
I just thought he was goofy and he made me laugh, and you know, Edge was cute, but John Cena and that body, I was like, yo, and like I said, this was before he got swole, so if back then he had muscles but wasn't swole, but still fine, look, man, blessings to that actress who got to be in the midst of all that, cause girl, oh. And then on top of that, he got to fight like a favorite and I think underrated actor when it comes to playing villains in Robert Patrick. Um, he was in the Terminator films and stuff like that. So this movie was pretty cool for its time, even though a lot of people will probably watch it now and be like, "Oh my God, John, what were you doing?" And this was in WWE studios, and everything was cool back then because they were making movies. But for the most part, I felt like this was really good. I was sorely disappointed when I realized that John wasn't coming back for the other Marine movies. I was just like, no, the Marine needs to be just him. But of
Thank you.
course, no shade to the Miz because, he did his thing. But, the Marine will always be John Cena to me. That's it. That's all.
He looks like Matt Damon in this photo,
I can see that. Yeah.
mixed with Tom Cruise, but
Yeah.
Matt Damon.
Yeah. Like I could definitely see that. I could. Um, But, he also said in an interview that he really wasn't, head over heels with the idea of being in movies back then because he was just very much focused on his in-ring work. And I think we can appreciate that to a degree. And I know back then it was seen, it was pretty unpopular if you were a wrestling fan to see your favorite wrestler go and do movies because you felt like that was low key their way of leaving. It was sort of like their back door out of the wrestling business, and you would never see them in the ring again, especially with the way The Rock, popped off the way he did. So it wasn't necessarily the most popular choice that people had, but of course, everybody liked this movie. But John Cena went back to what he really loved the most, and that was being in the ring. So yeah. But he was a really cool action star, running through the fire and everything. Like this was the prerequisite of what we were about to see in the future. It really
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Did you
Okay.
see this movie?
Years ago, like one time, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it was on USA Network. Oh, God bless them. That good old USA when WWE used to air every night on at 5 p.m. when everything was good and peaches. Fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe I watched like once or twice in my life.
Of course, it's cute, but it was definitely for back then.
Yeah.
But John really was, he was onto something here, but he loved wrestling. So he came back and he had a big feud with JBL, which was one that I look kind of fondly on, but then not fondly because I believe JBL was my first introduction into a lot of different things in life, period. And when it came to him feuding with John Cena's character, it just felt like that was literally my introduction to classism.
Hmm.
Um, and it's so funny. Me and my dad used to joke and say that it was kind of like he was being racist to John Cena because we felt like because in my mind I saw John Cena as a black man, knowing full well that wasn't really the truth. But at the same time, it was actually a form of classism because of course JBL had shaved his hair, he had become the whole stockbroker, um, Texas bigwig personality type man. And he would just look down on John Cena. He would talk all kinds of trash to him. He even talked about his mama one time. Like it was just really tough. Like JBL is actually one of the most wrenching and most horrible and terrifying heels ever back then. And then I believe they were beefing so hard over the United States title that I think JBL actually burned up either the US title or the WWE championship as a spinner belt because he felt like it was a piece of crap. And of course, I know that wrestling purists have their feelings about the purity of wrestling championships or whatever, but I love the spinner belts. I love them because I love looking at spinners on cars. Like, excuse me? Those
Yeah.
those are just the cutest things ever. Like I'm still a fan of a spinner on, the tires now. So to see that, move into wrestling was just one of the coolest things to me. And getting to touch one and spin one yourself is just like, yeah, it's just a cool factor. But JBL didn't like that. He was a classic, you know, Texas championship man, and we need that. And everybody hated it. But, you know, John Cena actually wound up beating him at WrestleMania 21. I thought I had that picture. I could have swore I had that picture. But he wound up beating JBL at WrestleMania 21 for the WWE Championship. This was in LA at the Staples Center, of course, now known as Crypto.
No, no, it's for
Um,
Center.
wait,
Forever.
what?
It's forever Staples Center. Just like it's
I
for
agree.
not that stripper name. It's Twitter. Carry
I
on.
agree. I agree. I was bummed out when they changed the name too because I mean the first time I saw the Staples Center, it was in the movie Like Mike. And I had never been to LA up until that point, so I was just like, okay, well that's cool. And then when I became a Lakers fan, that's when I started to grow an affinity for it even more. So then when they changed the name, I was just like, God dang it, it's the Staples Center. I don't care what anybody has to say. And I was so happy to actually finally go inside the Staples Center WrestleMania weekend in LA. It was so beautiful inside. It was a big moment for me as a Laker fan and as a wrestling fan for sure because they had NXT there. Um, and it was just so great. And I just loved being in there and looking at all the murals that they had of the Lakers and all of the tributes to Kobe and the jerseys everywhere. It was beautiful. I enjoyed being there for sure. I got to go back at some point.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, but yeah, him and JBL had a huge fight. But like I said, he beat him at WrestleMania 21. And here again, this was where John Cena showed more of his acting chops because they did those commercials where a lot of the wrestlers would do scenes from famous Hollywood movies. And
Mm-hmm.
John Cena was that lawyer from A Few Good Men, which had Tom Cruise in it, and JBL was, that general, and I don't know what rank general who was played by Jack Nicholson. And here again, you saw more of his acting chops come into play. So John's been on his way with this and flirting with Hollywood for a while. But those were some of the best commercials. This WrestleMania is one of my favorites, hands down. It was amazing. And I was happy that John won that title. So it was good. Shout out to Nessa from Humble Roses, who is,
Come on, Humble Roses.
yeah, sharing our stream on Twitter. Thank you so much for that support. And Mike Walker, on YouTube is saying that the spinner belt is actually his least favorite.
Oh my
It's
God.
okay. It's okay. I understand, I understand, There's space for that. Let's hold space for that. I completely get it because people have their feelings about championship titles, and I understand because I have my feelings about them too. But I love the spinner belt.
Now
Love it, love it, love it.
let me ask you something, Mike Walker. Old WWE logo or the new WWE logo? There's
Ooh,
one correct answer.
no. Okay. But moving on. There was also a point in John Cena's career where he was sort of being turned on because he was winning a lot of things. And he, like I said, this is during his reign as WWE champion. He had the spinner belt, but it started to change around this time where WWE brought back ECW for a little bit for One Night Stand. It was their pay-per-view that they had where they were just celebrating ECW, and John Cena was set to fight against Rob Van Dam, who was, I believe, Mr. Money in the Bank at the time. And Rob Van Dam, of course, started as an ECW guy, because, of course, ECW was founded by Paul Heyman and all the things. And the crowd at One Night Stand, I believe it was the Hammerstein Ballroom, were very raucous. And they were booing against John Cena, which was something that he wasn't exactly used to at the time. And this was where I realized people could actually hate him. And it was just so awkward seeing this because at the time I thought everybody loved John Cena, right? But no, that wasn't the case here with this crowd. They were flipping the birds at him, and this is where this sign came into play where it says if Cena wins, we riot. It was just vitriolic. I just did not know that people did not F with him, but it was clear that they had their favorite in that ECW crowd and they really wanted RVD to win, which he did, wind up winning that title. But, and I think John Cena even tried to throw his shirt out into the crowd and it didn't work. So this was where the fandom sort of started to shift a bit, where you started to realize that people saw John Cena differently than just oh my God, we love him. So this was
Wow.
interesting.
Wow, I didn't realize how far the hate has been, how long it's been. Wow. And for what?
Yeah. I feel like I said earlier a few minutes ago, like it was just different because they were the ECW crowd, number one, and they were really rooting for Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, that's right.
Um and I believe this was also sort of like the rise of people feeling some type of way about John Cena because they felt like he was being propositioned to be next up.
Hmm.
I think that was the sentiment, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it was really tough at this point. This was where you really realized that the fandom was split in half. And it was interesting to internalize that, as a younger fan, because at this point I'm like, here again, still a kid, figuring out my fandom, seeing the way all these adults are feeling. I'm just like, yo, what is wrong with y'all? I was like, John Cena's cool. Y'all don't know what you're talking about, but it was an interesting time to be alive.
I'm sure.
Um, yeah. And also in terms of interesting times to be alive, John Cena low key had a feud with Kevin Federline too.
What?
Yes. I had to put this in here because this was really random, but I feel like only someone like John Cena could make something like this work because Kevin Federline, of course, was famous for being the ex-husband of Britney Spears. He was virtually unknown, of course, until he got married to Britney Spears, and they divorced, and it was very high profile. And this was during Britney's struggle with a lot of different things. And Kevin Federline would just pop up on different reality shows. And I Raw one time, and he claimed that he was a better rapper than John Cena and better than everybody else, and all these other things. And yeah, it didn't go over well. John Cena actually beat him. If I'm not mistaken, I think they even had a one-off match that might not have lasted as long. I really can't remember, but I'm very blurry on the details because that's how long it's been. But I do remember that that happened, and I was like, Lord have mercy. It was nuts.
White on white crime, I love it.
Ah, Bianca, white on white crime. She went there. She went there. She really went there. She went there. Oh my God, she went there. She went there. She went there. And we gotta move on. Uh we gotta move on. We gotta move on. But yeah, this was definitely like a capture of the times right here. Because, you don't really hear about Kevin Federline now, but I'm pretty sure he looks back on this with fondness because, I just feel like all celebrities just want to dabble in WWE a little bit at some point. And the fact that he got to do it was just pretty interesting, but it's definitely a picture of the times because I'm not entirely sure if Kevin would ever come back at this point, but that happened. So yeah. And then also, what a lot of people may or may not remember is that John Cena and Shawn Michaels actually formed a tag team at one point. I think this was after John had been drafted to Monday Night Raw after being on SmackDown for so long. Um, and he was the champion when he got drafted as well to Raw. But then, of course, after a while, he had lost the title, and him and Shawn Michaels actually formulated a team. They actually became the tag team champions of Raw, only for them to fall out with each other, lose the tag team titles, and actually have a very classic match against each other. So a lot of people critically laud this as one of John Cena's best matches. And it makes sense because, he was still someone who was fairly new in the business going up against Shawn Michaels, who was saved Shawn Michaels at that, having amazing classics against younger people, and it was just really cool. So if you have not watched this match, I guarantee that you really will get a treat. This is one of the best matches that has ever been had on free television. Um, for real. But I really don't think that Shawn Michaels is capable of having a bad match against anybody. And John really proved that he was game for the challenge. So it was awesome. Rikarsha in the comments saying that she didn't know that. Yeah, they were. They were tag team champions and they were rivals too. So yeah, we learned on this show. We
Yep.
definitely learned. Bianca, did you know that they were tag team champions?
I didn't.
Oh,
No.
okay, well yeah.
I didn't even know John Cena wasn't like was ever in a tag team.
Oh yeah, he was. He might not have been in them for long, but he was. He had his one-offs. You
Yeah.
know, every now and again, and you don't become a Grand Slam champion without becoming a tag team champion. So that's how it happens. You know, it's really interesting, and this man left no stone unturned. That's for sure. And he had a match against one of the greatest of all time, like on free television. Awesome sauce. And of course, one can never forget his big return at the Royal Rumble. I believe this was 2009, if I'm not mistaken. Well, no, this was 2008. Forgive me. In 2008, he had sustained a shoulder injury, and he had to get surgery. He came to the hospital I was born at, St. Vincent's Hospital, to have the surgery, and then of course he rehabbed in record time, and he came back and surprised everyone at the Royal Rumble, even surprising Triple H and eliminating everybody. I don't remember if he won this one. I don't think he did. I can't remember, but his comeback really lit a fire under myself because I did not know when he was going to be back. I was sad. I was like, oh my god, I don't know, I miss him. But when I found out he came back that next Monday, I was screaming. I was like, John's back! Oh my god! It was lit. Oh, it was almost like Superman just you know went and got his strength back by the sun and just flew through the curtains. It was just like, yes, sir. This is the game I love.
He did. He just it's
Exactly. He was like,
like
uh-huh, uh-huh. I
ah,
loved it.
ah, ah.
Living, absolutely living, screaming our heads off.
And then
Pure
just
excitement.
with his beard and long hair, he got all riled up. It was funny.
Triple H was like, what the F? How is this happening? What? He saw his life flash before his eyes.
The human.
Oh my God. I was so happy. Words cannot express how happy I was that night for real. And I know that was a treat for that crowd too. I know they were screaming their heads off. Oh my God. That was awesome. And then of course one can never forget his clandestine feud with Randall Keith Orton.
Mm.
These men fought so much. They fought so much in 2009. I swear to God. From television to live shows to house shows and everything in between. They fought back and forth, traded that championship back and forth, and all the things. I swear it. I. That's why I low key feel like they raised me to a degree because they fought so much. There wasn't a point where you can turn on SmackDown or turn on Raw and not see these men fighting each other, hitting each other with moves, Randy Orton being evil towards him. It was it. Oh
I
God.
love. Oh my god! I was in high school. That was a time. Oh my god!
This was
Oof.
the American Revolution for us.
I always feel like whenever John Cena was on TV, it was always a big deal.
Yes.
So, my God, that was a time. Goodness.
Yes, and then they were both young because, Randy Orton coming from, a wrestling family, being attached to Evolution and all the things. They were both young and just wanting to prove themselves as the top guy of their generation. And there was just so much fighting between them. I feel like him and Orton and him and Edge slash Adam Copeland are neck and neck for how many times they fought each other in their feuds. Like, I swear. I
I could,
swear.
yeah.
It was nuts. It was beautiful and it was nuts. And yes, this was around the time we were in high school. This was actually, yeah, when I say 2009, that was when that was close to my sophomore year.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like 8th grade going on 9th grade. So.
Yeah, I was ninth grade going on 10th grade. Man.
Wow.
Yeah, Bianca. I'm becoming an OG and I don't know how to deal with it. Um Not really though. But of course, none can ever forget his feud with the Miz. I know a lot of people had a lot of opinions on who he really could have faced during his retirement tour and how much time he really could have had and more feuds that he could have explored. And one of them really was the Miz. And something that the Miz had even been talking about on SmackDown was like, he really wanted to fight in this tournament. He actually weaseled his way back into the tournament after Sheamus sustained his injury so he could have the chance to fight John Cena for the last time. Because, of course, during this period of wrestling, it wasn't really as popular to be a wrestling fan. I remember during this point, if you said you were a wrestling fan, it was like outside of John Cena, nobody was really messing with anybody else because at that point in time, a lot of people had just quit watching wrestling after The Rock and Stone Cold kind of just left and did their own thing. But of course, I was still in it because I didn't know anything else, and and that's just the truth. I don't know my life without it. So John Cena and The Miz had this really like big feud going on. The Miz had won the championship after cashing in Money in the Bank. And I would argue he was the most hated heel at this time. And so, what happens when you're the most hated heel? You have to fight the biggest hero. And John Cena was our biggest hero at this time, which led to them main eventing WrestleMania 27,
my
which is
first,
special for us. Huh?
the first WrestleMania I watched.
And the
ever.
first and the first WrestleMania I attended.
Ah!
Hey, like I said, it's special for the both of us. We don't care about internet pundits who talk trash about how bad they feel like this WrestleMania is. It's special for us on a personal level, and it always will be special because this was in Atlanta and it was great. But yeah, it's just this match turned out to be really good, even though there were shenanigans involved at the very end, and the Miz wound up retaining his title. But all of this, the thing that makes me feel the sorriest for the Miz in this scenario was the fact that he kind of felt like a third wheel in his own feud because John was also beefing with The Rock, who was the host of that WrestleMania, and they had traded words back and forth, on social media at it during its earliest heyday, and people were like, "Oh my God, are these huge stars gonna fight?" But then you have the Miz, who's having to, low key fight for a spotlight within his own spotlight. And it's just really nuts to have to think about. But The Miz really deserves his credit for being, the nasty evil heel and taking advantage of the fact that John was screwed out of that match at WrestleMania for real. Like,
Yeah.
The Miz deserves more credit than he gets.
I wish he was one of his final matches.
Yeah, me too. Like the way that Randy Orton challenged, John or whatever, I feel like the Miz could have just walked up to him and been like, "Yeah, I want to fight you," and that would have been, and it would have worked. It really would have worked. It really would have because these guys were crazy about trying to kill each other, and I really wanted to see the Miz just have another chance at, casting his own big shadow in this feud against John Cena because the first go around it was good, but here again you had Dwayne waiting around the corner trying to screw John Cena out of everything. And so it was nuts. And so another part of this whole scenario that's nuts is the fact that this feud got started after WrestleMania 27 and The Rock and Cena essentially challenged each other for the next year's WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And me and my dad was so mad because dad was just like, why can't they just fight at our WrestleMania instead of waiting until a whole year, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, you're right. Looking back at it, I was pretty angry too. But once in a lifetime was a time to be alive.
It
I was
was.
so excited. It was a clash of generations. It felt like a clash of both of my upbringings, honestly, because The Rock is my favorite. And then you have John Cena, who's like my other big favorite, and they're fighting each other. It was a time to be alive, and they treated it, and WWE treated it like the spectacle, like it was.
It is.
Like they treated it like the spectacle that it was.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think this match did main event WrestleMania 28. It was in Miami, which is the Rock stomping grounds. And it was really one of the best matches for sure. Um, in John Cena's resume and The Rock's resume too, because The Rock had been away from the ring for a while, but he proved that he really did not have any ring rust here. It was great. So now, twice in a lifetime is a whole nother discussion entirely. But the first one, it hit. It really did hit.
I remember when the first time Cena lost, that iconic still when he was sitting on the ground in despair. And a year later, when he won, his arms his arms up with the title. My gosh, John Cena, you will always be famous.
Literally. And then, A&E, and of course their WWE programming that they have. One of the best episodes that WWE's rival show had was about these two.
Yeah,
And finding out that the both of them essentially kind of started fighting because John didn't initially respect the fact that The Rock left for Hollywood and wasn't nearly as he accused The Rock of essentially not being as passionate
mm.
about the wrestling business as he was, and that's essentially kind of where the beef got started. But then they ironed it out, and then John Cena, of course, the more he rose in his fame, the more he realized, what it was like
Yeah.
And then he realized he had to, eat crow and apologize to a degree because he was just like, now I get it. I understand now and I'm sorry. And they wound up ironing out their differences and now they're cool. So we love it. We love it when people, you know, choose to
Take
find
accountability.
huh?
Take accountability.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That wasn't the phrase I was going to say, but that's perfect. Take accountability and make peace from it. We love it.
Me too.
We love we love men loving each other. We
Yeah.
love it. We love it. And now look at them both. They're Hollywood juggernauts. The Rock is nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yeah.
What the hell? I think that's an episode of its own making right there. Honestly. One day we'll get there. But let's just refocus on John Cena.
Mm.
Another one of the greatest feuds he ever had was definitely with CM Punk. It's so funny we moved from The Rock and CM Punk because a thorough line of me and my boyfriend's relationship, shout out to him, I love him so much, is the fact that when it comes to the whole twice in a lifetime match between The Rock and Cena, my boyfriend to this day feels like CM Punk got a raw deal when he was the WWE champion from having lost the championship to The Rock to set up twice in a lifetime for that WrestleMania. He feels like CM Punk should have had that opportunity to main event WrestleMania back then. And he is absolutely right. But back then I didn't feel that way because I love The Rock so much, and I was blind. But but this is where you realize you grow up and then you realize maturing is realizing that that's kind of real that's definitely what happened. But, you know, in the midst of things, John Cena and CM Punk made magic together because they were just the polar opposite of each other. It's like you have the spick and span superhero um figure of John Cena going up against the guy that should not have made it to the WWE um at this point in their juncture because they were trying so hard to follow, this older archetype of wrestler that had a certain look and had a certain feel and was marketable and stuff. And CM Punk did not fit that mold that they were looking for. But he rose anyway. He bet on himself anyway, and boom, he became the zeitgeist that we know him as today. And it was just one of the most passionate feuds I had ever seen in wrestling for real. Like it was hot. And it's like you said earlier in the show, Bianca, these two on the microphone against each other is absolutely lethal. And then on top of that, they both aged like fine wine and ran it back this year for their feud for the championship for Night of Champions, and it felt like no time had passed between the two. So hey, and of course, one can never forget how John Cena and CM Punk had that Money in the Bank, um, 2011, where CM Punk actually won and stole the title and ran and ran up the steps of the Allstate Arena and
But that
put
was the
the
wrong
title
one.
in his refrigerator. And everybody thought he was going to leave the company, only for him to come back and fight John Cena to see who was going to be undisputed champion at that time. It was a time to be alive for sure.
Not me blowing a cat. I thought wrong match.
Wait, what?
I was thinking about the match where CM Punk blew a kiss to the old disgrace boss.
Yes,
Not I had me out here blowing
yes.
a kiss. Anyway.
It
Anyway.
was so crazy. And then on commentary they were panicking. They were like, "Oh my God, CM Punk won!" It was so funny. And then John Cena was put through a whole lot of stress. He thought his job was going to be in danger because he lost and everything. Oh my God. And then this is also where John Cena got cut a raw deal because Rey Mysterio had won that title on that Raw, but then, because the old disgrace, as you called him, wanted to crown a new champion because CM Punk was gone, right? And then Ray won the title, but then John Cena had to go out there and win it himself and mess up Rey Mysterio's moment, which was it's so awkward to think about. And then CM Punk came back with his new music, and that just kind of shook the foundation of everything. And it was just oh my god. Could wait, what?
I love My Hero so much. You talk about The Rock and John Cena being like your faves.
Mm-hmm.
Third is Randy Orton. So, but yeah, oh, I love My Heroes. Oh, the fact that John Cena will not be wrestling again, it just breaks my heart.
Yeah, it breaks my heart too, because honestly, if I'm being greedy, I could have watched him and CM Punk feud like forever this year. Because, like I said, they aged like a fine wine. All of their abilities on the microphone aged like a fine wine. The way that even CM Punk, they're like yin and yang. It's just like
Yeah.
the way CM Punk cut his pipe bomb
Yes.
around John Cena, and then John
Yes.
Cena circled back 10 years later, and
Yes.
then 10 plus years later, and then circled back and did his pipe bomb on him. Like that was sick.
Yeah.
It was absolutely sick. It was fantastic. And John Cena's promo, low key, his pipe bomb, low key, foretold the future because the people he mentioned in that were people who were fighting in his last time tournament. Like, excuse me, Zack
Yeah.
Ryder, Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler. What? It was, it was just it felt like a love letter to my young adulthood for sure. Because at
Yeah.
that point, I was a teenager leading into a young adult life in college, and those were the guys.
Yeah.
So to see that find its way back around just really put me in my feelings for sure. So, oh, it was great.
When Cena cut that pipe bomb, oh my god! Like my, let me say this. Like I just remember like this the whole time. I kept getting like what? Oh my god! Oh, one of the greatest promos I've ever witnessed in my existence, and wow, I still haven't recovered from that. If I'm going to be honest with you, it was just too shocking and too good, and like I hold
Yeah,
that sacred to me. Like I
it
can't just
is very sacred. Yes.
I can't just like
You're really good at finding words to describe things. I like that in you.
thank you.
I like that in you. I love that. That's
I appreciate it.
beautiful. Yes. And then, of course, we have to hold space for John Cena's feud and um, love for Bray Wyatt. Bray and him had their match at WrestleMania 30.
Yes.
And though it did not main event, it was still a very important to a degree because it's just like you saw here again, John Cena and all his superpowers going up against someone who was just a fan favorite in Bray. And Bray was trying to get him to come over to the dark side. And a lot of fans felt away because John Cena actually wound up winning that match after Bray looked so strong for such a long period of time heading into this match at Mania 30. But yeah, this was an amazing moment for sure. But then, of course, they got to run it back unofficially
Oh,
during the pandemic.
oh my god.
Um,
Oh,
yes,
this, this
the
is like top
WrestleMania that
five.
time forgot.
This this is one of my favorite things of all time. It was so weird, but I loved it. I've always wanted to know how they. It was at first. I said I need to see a documentary about this ASAP because this was too good. Oh my god! Everything about it was fantastic. The blocking, the quick changes. Oh my god! What? I'm still like, just like his heel pipe bomb. Like I hold that sacred as well. Like you can't just watch it. Like I haven't recovered. It was wow. Oh, one of the weirdest, most coolest things I've ever seen in my life. This was when the Rotunda Bray Wyatt May You Rest. This was too good. Wow. Mm. Ah. Oh,
Yeah. And then
amazing.
yes. And then the thing that really sticks with me is just the amount of creativity that
Yeah.
went into this Firefly Funhouse match. And I loved the storytelling. I feel like the storytelling during the pandemic era isn't really appreciated
Yeah.
as much as it should be because, of course, a lot of people want to push that time back because it was so painful and just so, different. But when it came to wrestling, it had its great moments. And the storytelling involving Bray and John was just so perfect because this level of Bray was like 10 times more menacing than the Bray that he fought at WrestleMania 30, right? And with them creating this cinematic type of match, um it spoke to a lot of different things and a lot of different critiques that wrestling fans have had of John Cena and of the management having with Bray Wyatt and his creativity for years. Like it spoke to a lot of things. There was a lot of layers in this. And one of the best layers that they explored in this match was just the fact of what would have happened if John Cena had went the same way
Yeah.
as as of course,
Oh.
as much as we don't like him, as Hulk Hogan, when he turned heel and joined the NWO. Because of course, John Cena turning heel at that point, you know, after being such a good guy for so long was just unthinkable. And they actually had John Cena wear the NWO garb, like he was in WCW, and it was like a mind trip, but it was so interesting, and there were just so many layers to it, and yeah, Bray was touching on something, and I low key felt like this year was sort of like a manifestation of what he touched on in that Firefly match. And I'm so sad that physically he wasn't here to see that manifest. But at the same time, I'm sure that spiritually, wherever he is, he saw it and he was like, so Bray Wyatt, we love you so much. And because, John loved Bray, he paid tribute to him in the AJ match at
Yeah.
Crown Jewel. And that
Uh,
was a beautiful moment. It really was,
the
for
five.
sure.
Uh, May you rest.
Bray ain't got no business being gone.
That's what I say that all the time. Oh my
I feel like everybody says that all the time, but when it fits, it fits. And
yeah.
when it comes to people who ain't got no business being gone, he's one of them, definitely. But it's all right. He is in paradise. Don't
Yeah.
make me don't make me get to preaching because I'll do it. Okay. I'll do it. But then of course John Cena was sort of taking a little bit of a back seat um after a while because his movie career here again started popping off and you saw him making more appearances with voiceovers and commercials like Honda and
Yes.
um hearing his voice in Honda commercials just feels like a hug. I can't explain it. I don't know how to elaborate further on it, but just hearing his voice on those Honda commercials and those hefty commercials, it just feels awesome.
Thank you
Um,
for that. Oh my god. Because I was saying
yes,
days ago, John Cena, we may not be seeing John Cena every week anymore, but we will always hear him in Honda commercials. So
like we'll always have him. Now,
yeah.
we gonna always have him, but we might not have him in wrestling, but we gonna have him regardless.
Yeah.
And him being in those commercials, hearing his voice is really awesome. He was doing movies, doing lots of comedies and such. So he was away from WWE for a minute, but when he would come back, it would hit super hard. And when he came back during Roman Reigns' bloodline era, the first one,
Yeah.
that return and that pop for his return is one of the most celebrated pops in all of wrestling fandom history. When he came back and everybody was like, "Oh my god!" Michael Cole was like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Cena's here!" Literally.
That's the one where Cena was like to still, come on, man. I was like,
Literally, it was just so sweet, and everybody was so excited because Roman was like, "All of you will acknowledge me," and then John Cena's music hit, and his whole aura was just gone,
and I love
gone,
Roman Reigns like is trying to keep a straight face when when he wants to laugh so bad. His mouth just squirms like.
it was so funny, but it was so exciting because we hadn't seen John for a minute at this point. So to see him pop back with his new hair and the new shirt and everything, everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's John!"
And I,
And everybody felt that at this point he was the only person who could have possibly beaten Roman. Because Roman at this point had beaten everybody.
yeah,
It felt like. So to see John pop back up on him and be like, "Yo, you can't see me. I will destroy you," to leading into their match, I believe at SummerSlam, it was just really nuts. So this feud was I actually really loved this version of this feud because from a wrestling nerd perspective, it was sort of like a callback to the first time him and Cena feuded against each other when Roman was just post Shield Roman and the fans were not messing with him at all because they could tell that the powers that be were
yeah.
trying to position him as next up and they didn't like it as much.
Mm.
And Roman Reigns really wasn't as sure of himself on the microphone when it came to him as, a face. And then John Cena was like, "Look, if you call yourself about to be the future face of this company, you're gonna have to learn how to cut one of these promos." He actually said that on the microphone. And I was like, "Oh my God, he is destroying Roman. What is happening?" So to see this feud come back around and you see a much more confident Roman Reigns, and a much more arrogant Roman Reigns, it was really interesting to see this play out for sure. I loved this feud. And of course Roman wound up beating him, but it was really great to see John Cena come back and want to challenge the tribal chief.
Ferdinand meets Zebros.
Wait, what?
It's Ferdinand the Bull meets Zebros. A
Oh
zebra.
my God, yes, you're right.
And also,
Ferdinand the Bull.
he
Yes.
John Cena also voiced that that purple cow in that insurance commercial.
He
I
sure
forgot.
did.
And
He was the elephant.
that's the
He was
pistachio
in
commercial.
the pistachio nuts commercial. Yeah. John?
Uh,
John and his commercial bag, man.
yes. Ciao. You're welcome. We're the
Like
viewers.
I hated it. Like I'd be feeling weird because I thought I was the only one that paid attention to commercials like that. But I was so bummed out when they stopped showing those pistachio nut commercials when he wasn't in them no more. I was just like, "What? Now, why would y'all change the thing? It was working.
Yeah.
What are y'all doing?" But,
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
capitalism,
Yeah.
peanuts, whatever.
uh,
Um, and also speaking of peanuts, can we just talk about how John Cena actually would beef with people? He actually did like a rap diss at Elijah, aka Elias, and actually threw a bag of pistachio nuts in his hand and beat him up. Oh my God, that was so funny. I love product placement. That was hilarious. But yeah, I have a lot of strong feelings about this match right here. This feud with Austin Theory. Because number one, I miss Austin Theory and I want him to come back. I don't know where he is, but he's somebody who I thought was just so talented and I miss him and I want him to come back. Like, sweetie, where are you at? But during this point in time, it just felt like he was also being positioned as next up. But, life happened and then his daddy wasn't there anymore. But before his daddy wasn't there anymore, him and John Cena got into it and John was just like, "Look, you're really going to have to prove yourself and actually prove that you're not just some guy who has the backing of, you know, the terrible man. And the thing that I hated about this feud was the fact that Austin cheated to beat him at WrestleMania 39. Like, I was there. It took the air out of the arena. To me, I was very disappointed. John Cena came out with those Make a Wish kids, and they were fighting for the United States Championship. And I was like, oh my God, if John Cena wins the US title again, that would be so awesome. He could win it off of Austin Theory. And then Austin had won the US title by cashing in Money in the Bank and everything else. And that was crazy. But still, I hated that John Cena lost this feud.
Me too.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like they really should have had a rematch, but I guess stuff, scheduling or whatever. But when John Cena lost at Mania 39, I was like, I was so mad. There were a lot of things I was angry about when it came to this.
Yeah, I want it. Yeah. Same. Yeah. Yeah, I was
I
very.
feel like, yeah, like I ultimately feel like these guys really could have had like maybe a trilogy or something. Like they could have fought at least two more times after that for me. Just two more times. Give me a trilogy. A trilogy of Austin Theory versus John Cena. I know that might be a differing opinion, but I just feel like that would have done wonders for Austin's career. Um, for him to have a trilogy against John, but I guess the situation was different. But him cheating to beat him, that just and with John not having a rematch, I was just like, get me out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Get me
Scream.
out of get me out of SoFi. I mean, of course, I didn't leave, but that's just how I felt. And then of course we saw John Cena in his later years mixing it up with the future of wrestling, even going down to NXT for the first time, which is so crazy to think about when you think about how long NXT has existed. And and John's first time was in 2023. Excuse me, but
Wow.
it was really crazy. And he came down there to stand in Carmelo Hayes' corner because he was beefing with Braun Breaker. Because Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker in NXT was a really huge rivalry at the time because of course Braun Breaker um was they both came in together, and I believe Trick also came in with them too. And so the idea of them being right there together in the same circle and then feuding against each other for the NXT championship and all the above, it was lightning in a bottle with those two. And I hope somehow Carmelo and Braun can be revisited um as a singles feud at some point. I don't know how that would happen, but I'm sure it can happen again. Um so yeah, it was just a really good view to see him go up against Carmelo. Well, not against Carmelo, but stand in Carmelo's corner against Braun. Hold on one second.
I really love this photo. I hope you all are enjoying this episode of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. If you haven't, please follow the Queen Stephanie Hardy on Instagram and all her socials. You can also follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Bianca Addison. And you can follow my ring announcing journey on TikTok and on Instagram at Ebony Rose Ringside. That's EBONIROSE Ringside on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah, I'm on a journey to becoming a WWE ring announcer, so it's going well. But yeah, this photo is very funny. Do you all believe tomorrow is John Cena's final match? I'm very sad. How are y'all feeling about tomorrow? I love this photo. It looks like an Oreo. I've never seen this photo. This is my first time seeing it, so too iconic. Come on, swirl. How is your Friday going? Hope you all are having a great night and a great evening. And I hope you all do something fantastic this weekend. And get some tissues because tomorrow will be very emotional as we say goodbye to the never seen 17, the greatest of all time, and the last real champion. But I heard that he will still be a part of WWE, so for like another 5 years, as he's told from what I heard on his interview with Tom Rinaldi. So that's great news. You're watching the Hardy Wrestling Podcast on on Twitter and YouTube. I hope you are enjoying this episode. You just can't get enough of this photo. It's just too funny. See, John Cena is one for the culture. I can't. I love it. Shout out to him. But it's Friday. It's Friday, December 12th, 2025, on the eve of John Cena's final match. I hate saying those words. It's so sad. Oh, hello.
Hi.
The viewer.
So thank you for trying to at least hold it down. So John was essentially feeding into the new generation with this, and this also meant a lot for me because Carmelo is again one of my faves. He's a friend of the pod, and him and John Cena both from Massachusetts. So seeing that connection right there just meant a lot. But then it also was interesting to see Trick Williams at this point, who wasn't wrestling, but just sort of like being the hype man for Carmelo, just sort of asking, when did you know it was, your time? So it was just really interesting to see how everything played out. Rikarsha asked in the comments, didn't Paul Heyman talk to Braun Breaker during this time in NXT? Yes, he did. Paul Heyman did pay a visit. And he was in Braun's corner actually when it came to that match. So I'm glad you brought that up. That was a good little tidbit right there. Paul was in Braun Breaker's corner and John was in Carmelo's corner. So, and a lot of people felt like because of that connection right there, it would have been awesome to see Carmelo and Carmelo and John have a match against each other based off of the sole principle of that, but it wound up not happening. But, it's okay. At least they did have those moments together. So, and he had a great showing in the last time it's now tournament. So, Carmelo is still destined for greatness out here. And I'm choosing to believe that.
Agreed. I do too.
Yeah. So, in the midst of all of this, John Cena began a feud with Solo Sikoa at the time, who was trying to proposition himself as the new tribal chief after Roman Reigns had lost. But or at least before that. And then Solo actually wound up beating him in a very merciless way, hitting multiple Samoan spikes on him in this match at Crown Jewel, and it broke my heart so bad to see John Cena going out like that. And I know it could be argued that he was trying to put over new talent in this way, but to see him get beat up that bad by Solo Sikoa just ripped my heart to shreds. And to see the way he left the ring defeated and everything, I was just like, bruh, what is happening to John?
When was this?
This was at Crown Jewel, I believe in 2023.
Ah, okay. I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was so terrible. I was just like, Solo just ragdolled him. It was bad. I was just like, no. I was just like, what is happening to John? It was just, it broke my heart for sure. So we didn't see him after this match until, of course, he became a part of the Cody Vengers at WrestleMania 40. Forgive that last statement where I was talking about, Solo and Roman and all the things, but because that was before Solo became the tribal chief 2.0, like he thought he was. But either way, forgive me for saying that, but either way, John Cena would not come back until WrestleMania 40, where he was a part of Cody Rhodes's army to defeat Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship. And this is a moment in wrestling that has been replayed so many times and has gone viral so many times that it's almost like, bro, like nobody. It's just it. John has the distinction of being a part of one of the greatest WrestleMania endings of all time.
agreed.
It was cinematic. It was fun. You felt like you were watching a Marvel movie the entire time. No one expected, because it was bloodline rules and the favor was on Roman Reigns' side. It was like nobody expected Cody Rhodes to come out swinging with his own army in that way, because he was very much the good guy who was going to do it the right way. But he said, look, if you got cards up your sleeve, this isn't going to go the way the last one went. I got cards up my sleeve too. And John Cena was one of those cards. And everybody was screaming.
As
Michael Cole was screaming too. He was like, oh yeah, John Cena's coming to get some. And I was just like, yes. I almost lost my voice because I was in Philadelphia, but I was watching it in my Airbnb.
hi.
Um, that traffic was tough. But I understand. It's okay. It was such a fun time being in Philadelphia at that point. The hype was in the air, and everybody just kind of felt like Cody was going to win this time. And the fact that John Cena was a part of the Cody Vengers was just really great. He helped to usher in um a new era of WWE for sure when it came to that, and also usher in Cody Rhodes in his first big championship win.
I cry every time.
I understand.
And the crowd
Yes.
when this, oh, it's so deafening. And that's when you know matches like this are special. When the crowd is so deafening and they look around the stadium, a sold out crowd, uh, knowing that two men, two legends are making history, that's so special. Wrestling is great. Just love it.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those moments that just reminds you why you love it so much. Like all the pop-ups, John having this face off against he fought Solo in this match again, and then having the face off against the final boss Rock.
That was the same WrestleMania?
Look. Yeah, that was the same WrestleMania.
What? Oh my god! Wow! Wow! Why did I forget about that? Oh my god!
So much happened. It's okay. So yeah, it was a lot, but I'm glad he got to contribute to this moment for sure. And then of course this leads us to Money in the Bank 2024, where he announced that he would be retiring. And it was different for me because there was an interview that he had, I think, with People Magazine, where he said that he felt like he wasn't going to be in wrestling that much longer. And people were began to speculate even then. And then I believe at least it was about 2 or 3 weeks later, um, I went to Canada and went to Money in the Bank as media for the first time, and he made this announcement. And when I tell you, I felt like I got punched in the throat.
Mm.
Not in the throat, but just in the stomach. I was like, "What? What do you mean?"
Yeah. Yeah, I cried. I was in my living room. I was on the sofa watching, uh, and then Trish Stratus introduces him.
Yeah.
We we did not know what he would say, and we did not expect that. So I've been very emotional since then. um, it was just a sad time. It was just very sad. I cried. The tears were heavy. Oh,
Yeah, I had to really just come to grips with it while I was sitting there. It was the thing about being at events like that, it's like, and you're covering it for your media brand. You try to find the moments to record and stuff and try to find the moments to just enjoy. And this was very awkward because I felt like, you know what, maybe this isn't the moment to record. Like after he said that, I kind of just sat my phone down and just really just internalized what was being said. Like it was just, and then after he said it, he kept talking, and I felt my mind sort of zone out and just have and think about all the memories. And that's what really made me emotional for real. It was just like to think about all of the memories that I had of him and in this thing, it was just like, man, that's what really like did it for me. I was just like, man, like he really, yeah, okay. And then on top of that, to also have to switch back into watching the event happen after with everything happened, and then going into the press conference after that announcement was made, and it hit everybody online, hit everybody in person. He sits and he essentially starts off the press conference, and he's like, "Look, I'm going to try to answer everybody's questions." Everybody's hand went up. It was a struggle. It was crazy, but it was just one of those moments where you're just like, I didn't think this was going to happen this soon. I thought we still had more time. It's just one of those things where you really take time for granted and you're like, okay, well, I have more time. I'll see him later. I'll do this later. I'll do this later. But then it just reminds you, you really might not have later. So, but the thing that I am happy about is just the fact that he was able to just be real with us. He cares enough about the fans to be real with us and tell us, this is it right now. I have to go. Here's why. But even though I'm leaving, I still got one more round for y'all. And I think that's the part that I'm the most grateful for is the fact that he cared enough to say, I'm doing this for me, but I love y'all enough to let y'all know what's going on. Because some folks just make decisions and just be like, y'all just got to live with it and just don't give us no closure. He's giving us closure.
yeah.
Then on top of that, some people will say, oh, well, I'm retired, and then proceed to not give closure and then come back because you know how wrestling is. No one's ever really retired, but he's giving us closure. And that's something that I always appreciate.
I want him to like pull a Mark Henry and like slam someone tomorrow. And say, I got you all. I ain't going nowhere.
Oh,
And then like he hugs someone and then he turns heel and then I got you. Low blow someone. I got I got you. Oh, imagine that would be something. That'd be trending for like a year.
It would be trending for at least 3 months, and I would be so upset. But moving on, he would participate in the Royal Rumble this year in Indianapolis. Another thing that I was blessed to be there for.
Wow.
My first Royal Rumble at that I've
What?
ever attended, and it meant a lot to be there as HWP because the Royal Rumble was the first pay per view that I ever talked about. So to be there was meant a lot, and then to be there for his last one where the tension was so high because the men's Royal Rumble was very much star studded, very much hard hitters. Like you had John Cena, you had CM Punk, you had Roman Reigns, you had Seth Rollins, you had Jay Uso. You just did not know who was gonna win this thing. But the back and forth that these two had to keep each other or like get ready to eliminate each other was so stressful in the moment. It was just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah.
And for Jay
Oh.
Uso to eliminate him the way he did, oh my god, I was so shook. I could not believe it. But I was happy for Jay, but I was sad for John because I was just like, ah,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Uh, I was conflicted because I love them both, but I was on Team Cena, and I was very speechless when this happened. In the end, I was like, you know what, Jay Uso, congratulations, you deserve it. I'm not mad, you deserve it. But wow, the way it played out was insane. Oh my god, not what I expected. Ugh, I was a
Right,
little.
like just think about it. Like for the rest of Jey Uso's career as a single star, he gets to say that he was the guy that eliminated John Cena and won the Royal Rumble in his final and John's final Rumble. Like that's a huge feather to have in your cap.
Really is.
And everybody had favorited John Cena to win the whole thing. It was like John Cena and CM Punk were essentially neck and neck in who was gonna win. And who people predicted was gonna win the thing. Nobody saw Jey Uso at all.
I should.
I didn't either, but Jesus. And then all of this led to John Cena, putting as inserting himself in the elimination chamber match because he was very, very adamant on trying to win his 17th world title. And because he lost the Royal Rumble, he went first in the press conference and said, "Look, like because I am John Cena, this is my retirement tour. I'm doing what's best for business," which I low key felt like he was telling us something when he was saying that. Um, and what's best for business is me being in the elimination chamber. And he went to chamber all right.
Yup. What happened?
He had us on lockdown in our feelings because he wound up um benefiting from Seth Rollins' spiteful hate towards CM Punk and basically submitting CM Punk in order to win the Elimination Chamber match, which gave him a ride to WrestleMania for the title. Cody Rhodes comes out there and tells The Rock, "Look, you can't have my soul. Go F yourself." And then John pretends like everything's okay,
Yeah.
only to kick Cody Rhodes in the hoo-ha and beat him up some more with Travis Scott, and he sold his soul to The Rock.
That's like a you remember where you were type of moment. I was in
Literally.
my mom's bed, and that happened, and my jaw was like, and then we go to the press conference, and were you there?
I wasn't at that one, no. I was at home.
Oh, that moment was crazy indeed. Yeah, my God, I'm another moment where like I haven't rewatched it since because it's wow, it's just Actually, that's a lie. I was all over it. I was all over the.
Yeah, it was to the point where people at work were asking me, "What happened to John Cena? I saw it on the news." Or I fell to my knees when it happened. I was like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, my brother was like, he saw it on Sports Center. He's like, that was crazy. John Cena's back. Insane.
I
But
fell to my knees. I was so devastated, man. I felt like nothing in life was going right at that point.
I had
Mm.
Wendy's that.
Huh?
I had Wendy's that day. And he turned heel.
Oh Jesus, it was nuts.
But I honestly liked the heel run. I didn't
Me
take
too.
I didn't take it personally. I didn't take it to heart because I know that's not him. It's a character. And I know that eventually he will be good again. So there were moments. There were moments. I remember that kid in Europe. Oh my god. And then that I can't like this always chokes me up. But like when he went back to that country or wherever the country was, and then he reunited with that kid, and then in front of Hogan Paul, telling him off, showing him who he is, the great human he is, he walks over to that kid, and then I forgot the line. I forgot the quote he said, but like he basically apologized and said that he was wrong. And then he said, "I'm sorry." Like that's a class act.
Exactly.
That's just so cool of him to do that. And
It was.
the kid saying, I love you too. Like there would never be another John Cena. And that man is my hero for so many reasons. And it's just too difficult to just like say goodbye to a very good man.
Right.
It's one of my favorite moments
Yeah,
ever.
when he apologized to him, I thought that was the sweetest thing. Like, because he really just could have let that kid just stay a meme. But no. He told him, he was just like, look, I'm sorry, you know? And that was so beautiful. Like, you see, you can apologize to children and it's okay. And it's okay, Bianca, for you to be emotional. That this is a safe space.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yes. It brings emotion, like wrestling brings emotion out of people, and that's perfectly fine because that was a beautiful moment, right? And there was a lot that John was doing and saying in his, heel turn, and a lot of people, might not have liked it a lot because they feel like, oh, it was pointless, and oh, they just did that for the shock value and da
yeah.
da da da. But my thing is like if you're not watching wrestling for the ride that it takes you on, then what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. It was fun while it lasted. We got to see it happen because people had been wondering what would happen if John really like turned full heel for years. And
Yeah.
we saw it happen, and granted it was in his last year, but still,
Yeah.
you know,
It was
it's
insane.
okay.
Yeah.
It was fun while it lasted. And because
What?
of, you know, and because he cares, like I said earlier, about his fans so much, he just, you know, he made it right. And
Yeah.
that's all that matters. And him and Cody Rhodes had a slugfest at WrestleMania in Vegas. I was there for that too.
Was that this year? Really?
That was this
Oh,
year. That was night
oh,
2, and that was this year.
night two. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
And I
really?
was yes,
It
I was
was.
very yes, that was in April. Like I said, a lot happened. in this Mania. It really is.
420 right now.
Um,
Makes sense. But I digress. Carry on.
yeah, he fought Cody Rhodes for that title, and Cody, tried to keep and hold on to the title for the sanctity of WWE because he didn't want John Cena to ruin wrestling the way he said he was going to do and everything. But Travis Scott comes back out there.
Oh,
And Fiend, which was the song of the weekend, you
hate that
couldn't
song.
escape that song.
Oh my god.
It was the song of the weekend in Vegas, I swear. Started playing, and he came out there and essentially, cost Cody Rhodes the match. And then Cody didn't want to win it the negative way.
Yeah.
And John Cena wound up winning his 17th title. So, yeah, he became the never seen 17 in his last WrestleMania. So, I hated the way he won. I actually found a video I made after he won, leaving the press box after everything went down. I was like, man, I love you, John, but come on. I
Was
was
that
so sad.
the I think it was I don't think it was this event. I think it was some events prior, but there was a there was this press conference when John Cena was heel. And then it was, with every question he was asked, he responded the same way. I
It was
forgot
at that one. It was at the WrestleMania one. I was in that one. It was so nuts. He was like, I feel like this is a bait question and a da 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 and a da 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 and a da da da. It was like robotic, and we had to actually laugh at a certain point because he was not budging. He was not budging.
That's when I knew I can't take this run seriously because what? Insane.
It was like he was a robot. I was just like, John, what? Come on. I feel like it was either at that one or if it was at another one. I can't remember which one it was either, but I really feel like that was the one. I'm gonna have to find it. But baby, John Cena was locked in character. Okay.
Oh my!
If anything else, he showed us why he's a movie star. Cause the way he was locked in as a heel was nuts.
And you wanted, and you saw, and he wanted to laugh so bad.
He did. But it was a movie. It was a movie. Las Vegas was a movie. Um, and then of course he wound up feuding against Randy Orton again, running it back for the 2000 kids for the title. Got RKO'd a couple of times, but here again, John cheated to keep his title in St. Louis, which is Randy Orton's hometown, because they had backlash there. And I was sad I couldn't go to that one, considering that was like 2 weeks after Mania, and I was like, look, y'all,
I would have gone.
my finances need to recover because flying to the West Coast from Alabama is not cheap. Okay, it's not. It's not cheap. It ain't.
I'm sure. Wow,
So
Alabama. Wow, the South could
yeah,
have.
baby.
Oh my god.
Yes, it wasn't cheap. So I watched Backlash at home, but still, this was a pretty good match for the most part, and I hope Randy Orton will make an appearance tomorrow.
Oh my god. Whew.
I hope we see him tomorrow.
I would love
'Cause-
that.
yeah, that would be great.
I, that would do something to me because when I started watching about like late 2010, late 2011, it was Randy Orton and John Cena and The Miz who were like the one of the first wrestlers I ever watched. I saw on my TV when I started watching WWE. That would be very special. God.
Yeah, it was good stuff. And then, of course, we fast forward through the summer, and we have Cody, and Cody wins the King of the Ring tournament, and it gave him an opportunity to fight against John to get his title back at SummerSlam, which I believe, of course, this was after John, of course, apologized to that kid and saw the error of his ways, and became face again. Praise God.
Right? Oh my god.
And he came back out with the colors, and everybody was crunk as F.
I
And
cried.
they put on a heck of a match. I feel like I need to watch this match back simply because of how good it was. It was so good. These two gave each other everything.
Yeah. But where is this again?
This was SummerSlam this year.
Oh, this year. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Wow.
this was night two because this was the first time SummerSlam was 2 nights.
How do you feel about that?
Uh, I don't mind it from an adventure perspective if I had the opportunity to go. Um, but I feel like WrestleMania is the only one that deserves to be 2 nights because SummerSlam, of course, is wonderful. But I think I'm pretty okay with SummerSlam just being one night and that's it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very nostalgic, and I miss WrestleMania being like one long 7 hour day, seven
Now,
hour event. Oh, so many
now
broken.
I'm okay with WrestleMania being 2 nights because that actually makes sense for the occasion.
Yeah,
And then of course, the older you get, the more you tend to appreciate it because you kind of just want to go to bed after a while and you're overwhelmed with everything. But yeah, SummerSlam being 2 nights, I didn't hate it, but I feel like it I feel like it makes it more special when you have one pay-per-view that's just 2 nights instead of two. So but yeah, this match is definitely a modern classic. These two laid it on the line, and I feel like the really even the best part about this match was the fact that John essentially gave Cody his flowers and made him cry, and essentially told him like, "Look, you got to carry this on now because I'm this is it." So, and knowing how Cody feels about John in real life. And how he saw him as an inspiration during his initial WWE run before he left, it was really good. And then, of course, you have John in this match that the universe manifested with
Oh,
AJ
AJ.
Styles,
Who is that? It's like, is
which
that
was
Drew McIntyre?
no, that's AJ Styles. These two had a match that was essentially a love letter to all of wrestling. And I feel like I feel like there's so many good things that have been said about this match. And I feel like I'll just be repeating it. This match was fantastic.
It was.
And I'm glad AJ got to have this match too, considering he's getting ready to wrap his career up next year too. Yeah.
These two men have oh, have some of the greatest entrance songs ever. Oh my, like edit like the kids say, AJ Styles edited. I wasn't familiar with your game. Like, come on,
Right.
what? I will miss hearing these two songs. Oh, and just like doing the two step to AJ Styles. They oh come on. Oh, whoever rapped that song, I
They
bow.
ate.
Oh my god, what? Oh. And then when AJ Styles like came out with the low rider at well, I forgot what the event was, but my God, Mr. Styles, Mr. Jones Styles, sir, my.
Yeah.
And then we have You Can't See Me, which oh, if John Cena does like, I will not. It's only fitting that he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame next year. Like it's only right.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it'll happen.
But yeah, those two songs, They Don't Want None and You Can't See Me, will go down in history.
Yeah, and ultimately I feel like um with this match, I feel like the crowd in Perth, Australia were very receptive to what was going on. And I love that for them.
Me too. That crowd,
Yeah, I
man.
love that they knew everything. And then I love that WWE essentially made a video of all of the finishers that they used throughout the match. That was really cool too. So big ups to these guys and whoever produced this match because it was amazing. So and then I loved how John wrote like a whole intro for
Yeah.
AJ, um, that Alicia Taylor wound up reading off of. That was so sweet of him.
Yeah, I learned something new about AJ Styles with that introduction. So,
What'd you
and
learn?
I knew he was a part of TNA. I never watched
Oh
TNA,
yeah.
and um, his his personas and his nicknames, and um, I don't want to like say any wrong names that might not be associated with AJ Styles, but the Bullet Club.
Mhm.
Is that his like faction?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like to explain the Bullet Club would take up more time than we have.
Dumb it down in like 5 seconds.
I can't. You there is I feel like I can't. I can't. I can't. I'm sorry. But just know that before AJ was with a mainstream market, he fought in Japan and it was just this huge faction
Okay.
full of people. Finn Balor was also in it. Kenny Omega was in it, and for a time even Cody Rhodes was in it.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's a lot. I don't have time to explain, but it's a lot. So
Understood.
yeah. Yeah, AJ Styles has been around the block and back. And I'm glad that that was highlighted. And of course, John Cena will go on to win the Intercontinental Championship, becoming a Grand Slam champion, beating Dirty Dom, only for Dirty Dom to beat him at Survivor Series War Games. Not clean with his ladies, but that was his last pay per view.
That doesn't sit right with me. I don't like that at all.
What, the fact that he lost?
No, the fact that that was his final pay-per-view,
Oh, well.
and the fact that he lost.
Now, when I asked you, I asked you, was it the fact that he lost and you said no, and then you go, Bianca, be honest.
I'm in like a phone right now. So
so, so now we're at this point where John Cena is now feeding more so into the future of wrestling, which is another thing that we love a lot about him is the fact that he's not making his last time all about him. He knows that once he moves out of the way, that will leave space for the future to take shape.
yeah,
And because he's so passionate about everyone and he went down to the PC to visit, the younger stars of NXT and Evolve, he had the distinction of choosing the Iron Survivor competitors for NXT Deadline for the men and the women. Um, and he also wanted Saturday
mm,
Night's main event to also feature future stars like Sol Ruka, Javon Evans, TNA X Division champion Leon Slater, and Oba Femi as well. So tomorrow night isn't just going to be a farewell to Cena. It's going to be more of a hello to the mainstream audience into the future. And now this is where we're at. John Cena's final match is tomorrow against Gunther, the Ring General, in Washington D.C. on Peacock. So yeah, even though this is a Saturday night's main event, it's not going to be on NBC on TV. It's going to be on Peacock, and they're treating it like a PLE, which I
mm.
appreciate considering this is a huge moment in time. It deserves that treatment. So it's just going to be on Peacock at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, 7 Central Time. Don't miss it.
Be
Um, what you say?
I said be there.
Exactly. Be there to witness history, guys. Our never seen 17 is
And
fighting for one last time
oh, against the fish.
against Gunther,
Yes.
who claims that he wants to make him give up.
Mm-mm.
And I just don't think that's going to happen. I'm predicting right now, I think John Cena's going to win.
Of course, and I predict that huge stars will help him win. Unexpected surprises, huge names will help him. I I feel something coming. I feel. Uh, Yeah, I feel something big. Something appearances, huge appearances will happen.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a report I did see from Wrestling Observer saying that there were going to be some huge surprises, but I tend not to feed into those, and I kind of just want to take it for what it is.
yeah,
Honestly, if there aren't any surprises, I'm okay with the card the way that it is anyway. So I'm all right regardless. And I know that there is going to be there's going to be and there has been a lot of discourse about how it shouldn't be Gunter um being the one to retire him, but I feel like at this point I don't care because I feel like the most important thing is that John Cena is fighting one last time and not who he's fighting. So, yeah, I don't care anymore. I don't care about, him fighting Gunther. I just care about the fact that it's his last match.
and that he wins.
Yeah, I hope he wins, but even if he doesn't win, he's already done enough. He's given us everything. And ultimately, I feel like his greatest legacy is what he gave to people on a very personal level too, because he's also the record holder of the most make a wishes for any child. Like he's raised a generation of children, made them feel joyful, and made even adults feel joyful, giving people their personalities. You know, he's just done a lot for a lot of folks. So whether he wins or loses, I don't care. I just want to thank him.
Yeah, thank him too, so much for
Yeah.
your ins for getting me through. I through a lot of stuff, and I hear people talking about like they don't have the father figure in their life to get them through and to teach them important lessons, and I relate to that. And his lessons and his words I hold dear, and there will never be another John Cena ever. So,
Mm-mm.
and it's just very, it's just I hate goodbyes. I hate series finales so much. You don't want things to end, but sadly, that's not how life is, and sadly, great things have great great things have to end at some point, and it's it's one of
Yeah.
my
Yeah, but here's the thing. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
you're right. You're so right.
But we gonna get through it, Bianca. We gonna get through it. And in getting through it, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast Live. And of course, if you want to watch this later, you can watch it on the YouTube channel on the live feed. The episode is called If It All Ended Tomorrow, which is one of John Cena's songs from his album, which is one of my favorites. So if you want to watch the episode there, you can. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's the Hardy Wrestling Podcast with the logo to your left, right, however you watch it, it's over there. Either way, you see the logo. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you get notified every time anything new is posted and stuff. Know that you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. Listen to the show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your audio stuff, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And share and repost any clips that you might see just to get the word out and stuff. And anytime you share a clip of the show, give me credit because I saw one of my clips of my show floating around in the wild, and as much as I loved it, they didn't give me credit. And I need y'all to give me credit for my work because I work too hard on this show. So do that. We work too hard.
Wow.
So give me my credit, at me, and all the things. Okay, I'm not hard to find. I'm out here and it's public. Um, And of course, you can read my articles on dailyddt.com. It's been a great year with them, so read all my articles there. And if you're interested in booking your girl for commentary, ring announcing, or anything else like that, you can DM me on socials or you can email me too. You can find me there on my link tree. I'm out here. So, yeah, Bianca. I know I overheard you telling people where to find you and follow you, but if you want to repeat it, you can go
Yeah.
ahead.
So yeah, if yeah, you can follow me on you can follow my ring announcing journey on Instagram and on TikTok at Ebony Rose Ringside. That's EBONIROSE Ringside. I'm on a journey to becoming a WWE ring announcer and fulfilling my goal for that. And you can follow and if you want to know me on a personal level, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Bianca Addison. It's right there. And be sure to pack a lot of tissues, and because it's going to be very emotional. And John Cena, we love you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for all that you have done in these 2 decades in this industry, and I'm happy you exist. Thank you for your promos. Thank you for your words. Thank you for being so inspirational to many people around the world and being that father figure that not a lot of us have. And just thank you for being a hero to me, one of my heroes. I am manifesting that we meet meet again soon, because it's been 7, 8 years since we first met. I just congratulate you on all your success and the success that you will be receiving down the road. And yeah, just thank you, Cena, and I wish you all a fantastic retirement. And I'm happy that you'll still stick around for a few years as an ambassador, and I hope that I can work with you, that we will work together, and that I can still announce you as a legend and as a Hall of Famer down the road. So yeah, just again, thank you, Cena. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you will never ever suffice. I hold you on high regards. I hope you. I hope you have a special place in my heart. And again, there's no one like you, ever. There is no one like you.
Yeah. Thank you, John Cena, for your music, for your light, for your sense of humor, for your love and your sincerity, and also for all the titles you won, all the matches you've been a part of, all of your movies, your commercials, your tweets, and just thank you for being awesome. And even though we might not see you in the ring, we know we still always have you in our hearts and in the commercials and in everything else. So thank you so much. So this has been the Hardy Wrestling Podcast with Stephanie and Bianca. And until next time, bye y'all.
Bye.